How to be body positive in dating. Welcome to Mark Asks number 3. I'm back here with one of the leading experts in Australia and dare I say the world on body positivity and weight loss, positive self-image around confidence and dating. I've got Glenn Mackintosh back with me. Australia's number 1 Weight Psych. 12 years this guy's been in the industry. Thousands of one-on-one consults, tens of thousands of hours you've been doing it.
10,000s of hours.
The Biggest Loser, he's a resident weight management psychologist on there. Just so many. You actually coined the term.
Yes,
we were joking before you came in. You coined the term, right?
Yeah, because not many people really know what a weight management psychologist is.
Yeah.
And someone asked me a while ago, and I said in an interview I did for a current affair like 10 years ago, I was like, I think I just made up the word.
So you're pretty much the godfather.
I like that. We can call me like the OG of weight management psychology. Okay. I like that. Totally.
Okay. In like 50 years, there's gonna be statues. Like this is the founder with the man bun.
Man, Mark, I've been on your show once before. I'm coming back. This is good. This is just a boost in my confidence.
So, weight management psychology. I didn't know this was even a thing until I met you. Yeah. For the viewers out there, what is it? What is weight management psychology? Like, what does that sort of type of psychologist do? And how is that? Why don't they just get a PT with a meal plan? Good question. Good question. Mate, I feel like psychology is the missing piece of the weight management puzzle. Like, it is absolutely important to know about healthy eating. It's important to know how to move your body. But most of us, we already know that. You know, we know what food's good and what food's not so great for us. And we know it's good to exercise regularly. But weight management psychology is about being in the right mindset to do it consistently. Because a lot of people sort of go on and off with healthy living. And also to enjoy it. And that's when it can really become a habit. Like you think, I know, Mark, you know, we met a while back at the gym. We technically met in salsa class well before that. Do you remember that?
No.
There you go. I'm that memorable to this guy.
There we go.
Technically, we went to a salsa class, and that's how I recognise you at the gym.
Unreal.
Years and years ago.
There you go. We're going to have to talk about this salsa class more. I feel like it was like an average date, and I should have remembered you.
He's just the loudest guy. The girls just loved him. Everyone was looking to dance with him. I just remember going, wow, that guy's so confident.
Oh, man.
You've always been a outspoken, in a good way, guy.
Well, I practice what I preach, mate.
Yeah.
So, I think self-expression is a big part of it. You have to be yourself. Yep. You know, no one is a better you than you. So, and even, you know, with me, like you said, I've done some work on TV now. I do have a growing public figure. And same as you know, there is this tendency to sort of shrink away from being ourselves, but I think that we need to be ourselves. And just because I'm a psychologist or just because I do some work on TV, it doesn't mean that I can't be me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we digress a little bit talking about salsa class. What were you saying about? We were talking about the body positive. So we didn't get quite onto body positive movement, but basically weight management psychology and how it's the missing piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, I think like you think, and I was saying about how I think you live a healthy lifestyle. So if you are, let's ask you this question, and the audience, ask yourself this question. You live a pretty healthy lifestyle. How important is mindset in living that lifestyle? And let's do it as a percentage. Like 0 would be, Glenn, it doesn't matter. I just got to eat well and exercise regularly. 100 is, it is absolutely everything. What do you reckon? How important is your headspace in living a healthy life?
Probably 90, I'm guessing. Yeah.
It's high.
It's a reflection of, becomes a reflection of your mind. Everything in your life eventually kind of manifests from your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I asked the Biggest Loser contestants this last year, and one guy, they thought about it for a second, and one guy said 100%, and the whole room just went, yeah.
Even now I've said that, I'm trying to think, well, what would be the other 10%, Mark?
Yeah,
that's
not the mind. A bit of nutrition, education,
like
a bit of movement.
Bit of knowledge.
Exactly. And the next question I often ask people is, well, if your mind is so important, how much time do you spend training it? And for most people, it's like, well, none, if any.
Yeah.
And that's where the psychology comes in.
Yeah, it's amazing how much that resonates with coaching. Because, I have friends who come to me and they'll sort of ask for advice. And now I've been coaching for so long that I can sort of see what's going on quite quickly. But I also know that without sitting down with them and spending some actual time, some committed time on their mindsets, I can give them some superficial advice, but I'm not really addressing what's going on. It's a Band-Aid.
Totally, because sometimes the people won't know what to do and you'll need to advise them, but often people actually know themselves, but you're just helping them get in the right mindset. And I think one of the funny things for me as a psychologist is, I think sometimes we think of, and it's like an old school way of thinking about psychology, that the psychologist is there to help give you new insights and learn more about yourself. And that's sometimes true. But so much of the time, us newer psychologists, we're just helping people do what they already know they want to do. So by the time people get to us, they already know they want to eat well, they already know they want to love their bodies, they already know they want to exercise regularly. We're just helping with the mindset and make those important mindset shifts so people can get into that headspace to do it.
Okay, so viewers watching now, they come to you, how do they be more body positive, and how do they, I know you don't like the term lose weight, and I imagine a lot of the viewers that are watching saying, I just want to lose weight.
Oh, man.
How do you, what do you say to them, how to be more body positive in dating?
Okay, so you're absolutely right. I actually, which is one of the funniest ironies in the world, my business is called Weight Management Psychology. People think of me as a weight loss psychologist. Yep. Yeah. But I actually am so disinterested in weight loss, and I'll tell you what. Because people feel like, again, all of the research that we have, and I won't bore everyone with research, but it shows that when people try to focus on weight loss, which would be a lot of people, because we know that a lot of people want to lose weight no matter what shape and size they are. So I see people in my room that might weigh 200 kilos who want to lose weight, but also people who weigh 40 kilos who want to lose weight. So it's not necessarily, there is this desire that we all have that we want to lose weight, whether we really kind of need to or not. I call it thin sanity. Okay. We have this thin sanity. Yeah. So there will be a lot of people out there who are wanting to lose weight. But what I would ask them is to check with their own experience. Most people I see, or at least by the time they get to me, they've done 4, 5, 6 failed diets, hasn't worked. And that's because if we look at the research, dieting doesn't work. So if we look at all of the advertising, it seems amazing. You've got the before and after, you've got the sad person, with the heavier, then you get this after shot, they're really tanned, they're happy, they've lost weight. But then if we follow those people further, what we tend to see is that the after shot of that person is actually larger than they were before. Yeah, researchers, we talk about the Nike swoosh of weight loss. So people, and you gain about 10 to 15% interest. Right. So the process of dieting, even though I get it, everyone I see and a lot of your audience will want to lose weight, it actually makes you fatter.
Okay, so what's the solution?
So the solution is, and you mentioned it before, body positivity. We talk about loving your body healthy. So this is, learning body positivity is a bit like learning a new language. Mm-hmm. So we could only give people an intro to it today.
And Glenn's got an ebook as well that you can go and check out.
Yeah, totally. Missing Piece ebook.
Put it in the description, and he's got a channel as well. So make sure you have a look at that.
Yeah, check it out.
But just, to sort of touch base, what's the solution? Body positivity, what does that mean?
What it means is, we buy out of this diet culture ideal to have to lose weight. We're in a society that idealizes perfection, and we know, and everyone out there, that ain't true. Those Instagram models that you see, they don't look like that. No. They look like that after their preparation for the photo and all of that. So how can you strive to attain to look like someone who doesn't even look like themselves? So we buy out of that need for perfection, and we embrace the reality that we all have different shapes. We have different sizes. Some of us are tall, some of us are lean, some of us live in larger bodies, some of us are darker, lighter. So we embrace this diversity. It's a really weird metaphor, but if you work with me, guys, if you go to the dog park, you're going to see Chihuahuas, poodles, mastiffs, and you see this in people. You know, there are people who you see their families or, you know, people that come from certain countries, they tend to look like this. And you know, we all have this diversity, this natural diversity in the way that we look. And if you are naturally a Labrador and you try and make yourself look like a toy poodle,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
You're going to be unhappy.
So what we would say is, you know, the Labrador needs to focus on being the best, happiest, healthy Labrador they are. So that's what body positivity is about. It's about not trying to change yourself, but it's about loving yourself and nurturing yourself from where you are right now.
Okay, so we were talking about this a little bit before, and a couple of clients and subscribers wrote in and asked this question. One thing I talk about with coaching is the fact that humans are generally driven by pleasure or pain. Either the want to get something or the pain pushing them away from something.
Totally.
Which unfortunately means that comfort becomes the opposite. Comfort becomes the thing that doesn't motivate, because I'm comfortable enough not to be in pain, but I'm comfortable enough to not really want pleasure. And that's why we talk about getting out of your comfort zone, basic coaching analogy. So how do you reconcile, like, obviously it's important, it's so important to love your body and be the Labrador and be happy about that.
Yep.
How do you then recompense that with do you need a little bit of pain to motivate you? Like to go, I'm uncomfortable, I feel unhealthy, F this, I'm going to change this. Like how do you, I'm not happy where I am. How do you,
This is an awesome question. And what I say to clients is that if slap around therapy worked, if it worked to hate your body, people would come into my office and they'd say, Glenn, I want to lose a little bit of weight. I'd be like, yeah, you sure should. You're too fat. You're, disgusting. You're lazy. But when we look at what actually happens when people talk to themselves that way, it doesn't help them take care of themselves. So, and this is where the weight management space is actually a lot different to other areas of psychology. And this is where I get a lot of people saying to me, Glenn, I do so well in business. I do so well in my study. I do well in lots of areas of my life, but I don't do well with my weight. We get so many people who talk to us about that. And the psychology is a little bit different. And I think, the main habits to take care of yourself and to help manage your weight are going to be obviously your eating and your exercise. Mm-hmm. So if we just talk about that for a second, if you're hating your body and you're wanting, it's not good enough, I've got to change, then in a sense, your exercise kind of becomes like a punishment for being too fat.
Yeah.
And most of us, we don't like, doing things that feel like punishments. But if we choose to love ourselves and nurture ourselves from where we are, then your physical movement becomes a celebration of the body. And it might not be your ultimate body, or it might not be the body that you'd absolutely, adore having.
It's not a toy poodle necessarily.
Yeah, but it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. And if you can see your body for the miracle that it is, even if you don't like it. And so love is a very interesting thing. I'm talking to, the most followed dating coach in Australia about love. But if you love something, you take care of it.
Your dog.
Your dog.
Yeah.
If you love your dog, you walk it. If you love, and this is another weird thing I say to my clients, my poor clients, is, if you've got annoying kids, your kids are being really annoying.
Yep.
You don't not take them to sport. You don't not feed them. You do these things that take care of them because you love them. And when you start to develop a love and an appreciation for your body, it doesn't mean that you always do what's most comfortable. It means that you do what will really nurture and care for. So the ultimate irony, Mark, is that people, when they do this body-loving work, they end up exercising and moving their bodies lots. They end up feeding themselves really well, but it's coming from a whole different perspective. It's not coming from the perspective of, I'm not good enough, I need to fix myself, but it's coming from the perspective of, I'm pretty darn lovable, I'm pretty awesome, so I need to nurture myself. But it turns that have to have to fix myself, which is just an external motivation and a negative motivation, into a want to love myself. Yeah.
So it's really about intent. We talk about intent a lot
Absolutely
on my channel as well, about you can do the same thing for two very different reasons and it's the right or the wrong action.
Absolutely. Same with dieting, for example. People do worry, well, if I love my body, well, then aren't I just going to let myself go,
Yeah, I'll just eat lollies all the time.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. And of course, no one that you're, on your audience, and no one that I come and see wants to do that.
Yeah.
That's not the aim of body positivity. Everyone wants to eat, well, not everyone, certain people want to eat a bit healthier.
Yeah.
If you want to eat a bit healthier, you could put yourself on a meal plan. And if that's a meal plan and the intent of that is, I'm not good enough, I need to lose weight, I'm going to restrict myself, then that's your dieting.
Yep.
And dieting doesn't work. If the intent is, hey, I've got this pretty awesome body, I want to take really good care of it. I want to eat foods that make me feel full, satisfied, give me energy. I don't want to feel sluggish. The same action with a different intent becomes what we call an intuitive eating action.
Right, and it reminds me, it's even like spending money on, whether it's health care or it could be really nutritious foods, because obviously one objection to healthy eating is the cost of it.
Totally.
Where it becomes like, hey, you know what, I don't need the extra car seats or the extra fancy couch in my house. I'm going to increase my food budget because that's my self-love budget. It's
Totally.
kind of
Love
my
it.
investment
Absolutely.
in myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so another question I had from a subscriber is, how do you deal with feelings of, I guess, hypocrisy? So if a client's challenged and they say, hey, I consider myself a really quality woman, I've got my other areas of life together, I feel like I'm a real genuine catch, and I want a man who's a genuine catch, which is very reasonable, perfectly fair. So she says, you know what, my genuine catch is in great shape. It's a guy who values health, and I'm not there right now. So, and maybe you deal with some dating advice as well. I mean, do you feel like if that woman's not at a place where she feels like she's at the health of the partner she would want, do you sort of say, get your mind in the right place first? Or do you say, don't feel like a hypocrite, you're on your way? Or what's your...
This is an awesome question. I actually did see that question. And the first thing I want to say to that person, I hope you're watching, is you are not a hypocrite. You think about, let's go back to the dog park. This is going to a really interesting place, this interview. If the Mastiff and the Chihuahua fall in love, are they hypocrites? No.
No.
They're just in love.
Yeah.
And where does it say we all have to be the same? I often get this, like, what if I can't find a partner at this size or shape or weight or this level of attractiveness? And I like to flip the question. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, because I like to ask people, do you really want someone who is going to make your weight a focal point of the relationship? Is that the type of foundation that you want for a relationship? Or is that just a great way to build a really superficial relationship with a superficial person?
Yeah.
And fair enough, we all have what we're attracted to, of course. But you and I, we get, you especially, but me also, I do talk with my clients about dating. So we have this unique view into real women's lives. And both of us would have examples of people who live in larger bodies and actually do really well.
Yeah. I know some of the most confident women I know, perhaps because they're so self-accepting, or just they love their bodies just the way they are, or they haven't been criticized for trying to look perfect. They've just gone into self-acceptance. They're the happiest, most positive, most radiant women that I've come across.
Yeah, and that's attractive.
Yeah, oh, so attractive, yeah.
It's a really, really attractive quality, because otherwise, if you're doubting yourself, and we see this at all shapes and sizes, of course, then it's kind of like you're limiting the person's ability to see your attractiveness.
Yeah, and it's funny, some of the clients I've had, some of the challenges they've faced with is they might have been born with the great genetics, and because of that, they've either done modeling careers or they've either done, Instagram careers or something like this, and the constant focus on the body means that as their body changes over time, they're not, even if they were this kind of ideal for a little while, the natural changes become really hard to accept, and they start.
This is such an amazing
Doubting
point.
themselves.
Yeah, because I imagine you've got people on your channel that want to date for all sorts of reasons. Some people might, I don't know, are they mainly people who are just wanting to date and have fun, or people who are wanting to find the right man for them?
Lots of people wanting to find the right person for them.
Yep.
Obviously a bit of everything.
Yeah, bit of everything. But let's say you're one of those people who's looking to find that right person for you. I see a lot of people in their 40s, 50s and 60s. And the reality is, even if you take good care of yourself, you start having babies,
Of
you know,
course,
you go
yeah.
through menopause, your body does change. And you're never going to be as attractive objectively as you are
like
when...
physically, photo.
You're not going to be as attractive. So what I'm doing then is helping encourage these women, as their body does naturally change over time. I'm encouraging them to take great care of themselves, of course, but then also have a level of acceptance of the body changes that are going on. And
it's not like men's bodies don't change either. Sheesh.
totally,
Yeah.
exactly. And if I am working with a woman whose partner is accepting of her body, then they still struggle a little bit, but it's so much easier because they can understand, okay, well, my partner, he doesn't mind. He accepts me for who I am. But if they don't, and this is where I would caution your audience, you know, that if you lose all this weight, make yourself look fantastic, find the perfect man with the perfect body, if they are very image focused and your body changes over time, then
It's superficial.
it's superficial, and you're going to really struggle with your body image when it does make changes, when your body does make changes, because that has become such a focal part of the relationship.
I was actually chatting with one of my clients recently. She's from Switzerland, and she's in her, I believe she's early 40s now, early to mid 40s.
Yep.
And she was saying she often does these trips to Russia, and she said it's the Russian dating culture is so looks and image focused much of the time.
Yep.
And you know, she's bubbly, she's outgoing, she's one of my most confident clients, and she could talk to anyone, and she's got a great energy to her.
Yep.
And she said it's always funny seeing the looks on these 20-something Russians' faces who have obviously dressed up and put all the focus into their looks when the guys either get bored and will come talk to these women in their 40s, or they have these experiences where the guys stick around, you know, until sex or sort of shortly after sex, and then the non-physical stuff, which is all the rest of it, all the personality, all the stuff that really someone emotionally connects to, the stuff that keeps guys chasing after sex and keeps men interested and connected. Once that stuff evaporates and she was saying a lot of these women just go, oh, I wasn't pretty enough, or I didn't have good enough sex with him, as opposed to going, oh, I really need to work on those non-physical sides of myself, including obviously self-acceptance for imperfections.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you know, none of us are perfect.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Brené Brown, great author, The Gifts of Imperfection. Really good book that I get a lot of my clients
I'll have to read that.
Really great one. Yeah. So in terms of diet and exercise, can you quickly cover your advice to clients? I know we've covered a little bit of that already, but just your general thoughts. They come to you, they say, okay, I'm not going to lose weight anymore, Glenn. I'm going to be body positive. I'm going to feed it through love.
Good on you.
How do they? Should they also, you know, have an exercise diet person as well, or should they? Yeah, how do they get started and start the habit?
Totally. So I think, like I said to you before, I think psychology is the missing piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
But it's certainly not the only piece. So I would definitely encourage people to get support. And I do a lot of work. I do a lot of training of dietitians, health professionals, fitness professionals. Yeah, I teach them these principles because they're starting to realise how important they are.
Right.
Yeah, so I teach Australia's psychologists, dietitians, and now personal trainers.
Right.
So I think, and I say that, you know, managing your health is a team sport. So definitely get the support you need. But of course, body positivity is a little bit counterculture at the moment. So get health professionals who are body positive health professionals. Okay. And you can find them now. Okay. So they are around now. That's the good news. But then when we come from that body positive perspective, and that is the first point, when you're thinking about your eating and your physical activity, the first advice I would give to people is don't diet with your food because it won't work. You'll end up with successive Nike swooshes. Yeah. And I say to people, if you've done 5 or 6 failed diets, I'm not going to be number 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So don't diet instead, and people can look this up. Look up the words intuitive eating or mindful eating or non-dieting and start to explore how to become an intuitive eater. So intuitive eaters are people who listen to their own internal cues. So their natural hunger and fullness, they really pay attention to how food affects them. So not from a rules-based perspective, but what foods are going to make me feel really good and nourished today? And what foods are going to make me... And you actually said this before. You got a few interviews today. You've got a lot on. And you said, I'll have to stay well hydrated.
Yeah.
You are acknowledging that when my body is well hydrated, I'm going to have a better day.
Yeah.
Everything's going to go better. So definitely look up intuitive eating. We've got a couple of videos on our YouTube about how to become...
on your YouTube,
this,
which you can check out again in the description.
Beautiful.
And what's the title of your book? The book? You have got a book publishing deal that you've now signed. So that's
I haven't signed it.
Oh, I haven't signed it yet.
We've got the deal is done. We're just waiting to sign it.
Okay, so it's pretty close to there, and you've got a smaller ebook which is titled
The Missing Piece. Yeah, so the missing piece. Yeah, so
theme of today.
it's just 7 mindset hacks for your eating, movement, weight, and body image.
Okay, great. And if people want more information on either you or weight management psychology, like is there a central place they can go, or what's...
Just go to the longest website in the world, weightmanagementpsychology.com.au, or you can follow me on Instagram. But we do a lot over Instagram, YouTube, upcoming podcasts. So get connected. And often I do get a lot of emails from people. They're like, Glenn, what about this? Glenn, what about this? I'm like, it's on the YouTube.
Okay.
So much. We're up to Thursday Therapy, I think number 52 or 53 now, which is where people ask me questions on the psychology of eating, movement, weight, and body image, and I just answer them in sort of 5 to 15 minute videos, so short videos. Okay.
And one actual curiosity I had with you, or sort of what you do before we end, is what's the big, I guess, is there a common struggle that you, I guess, find challenging? You know, I find certain things that come into me, I'm like, okay, this is a client who's going to have more challenges, and I'll have to work with them for longer or in a different way. In weight management psychology world, what's some of the, I guess, the big challenges that could stop your clients getting results?
I think probably the big 3, and I call them the big 3.
Yeah.
The dieting mindset.
Which we've sort of spoken about.
We sort of spoke about that, which is just the weight loss mindset.
Okay.
So, and that's that reality that weight loss doesn't work.
Weight loss mindset, yeah.
Yep, the more we focus on it, the worse it gets. So we want to get people out of the dieting mindset. Not everyone, but a lot of people are emotional eaters. So we talk about more marvelous methods to manage your moods, or really learning better ways to feel better than through food. So that's really important for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the other one is body image issues.
Okay.
Yeah, because body image issues...
So that unrealistic sort of what we've talked
just
about.
Just that drive for perfection and hating myself if I'm not perfect. So we talk about that loving your body healthy. So there's some of the really, really big ones.
So I guess the one last question, or maybe the one thing we haven't chatted about there, what's the most helpful tip you could give right now for someone who is a mood eater, who finds themselves... chocolate. I mean, there's obviously deeper stuff there much of the time. You know, it can be covering up a pain or an anxiety, which I'm sure you go into, and, you know, I'd go into as well. And dating behaviors can present that way too. A little tip for someone who goes, I just get to the fridge every time I feel a bit sad, and before I know what I've eaten, half a whatever.
Yeah, I think that the first tip, and this is a bit of a funny one, but my first tip for people on overcoming emotional eating is to recognize that it actually doesn't work very well. So what you're needing at the time, if it's emotional eating, you're not needing food. You're needing to deal with your feelings. And if we research emotional eating, people tend to, like, say you're feeling really lonely, for example. When we measure these things on scales, so that feeling will reduce while you're eating the food. But if we research it, about 5 minutes later, it just comes back. So it doesn't actually resolve your feelings in any lasting way. Normally, every now and then it does, but mostly it doesn't actually work. Often then, because a lot of people do want to eat healthily, people then feel really annoyed at themselves because they've overeaten. So I talk about emotional eating as like double dipping on a bad mood. It's like, okay, I was lonely. Now I'm not lonely anymore. Oh, now I'm back to as lonely, but now I feel really guilty.
Because I'm lonely and I've eaten poorly, unhealthily.
Exactly. So the first point is often recognizing no matter how I'm feeling, the answer is not food. I say to people, there's no nutritional solution for an emotional problem.
Yeah.
And of course, like you said before, we all have this drive towards pleasure and away from pain. And if you can recognize, okay, I'm in a little moment of suffering here. I want to feel better, but the answer is not in the fridge. That's not where the answer is. Then of course you have this natural drive to feel better, and you'll start to seek out what you really want, which is not food. So that would be my best piece of advice.
So explore that. That's great advice, yeah. And thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate
thanks for having me.
Yeah, giving your time. I think it's such valuable content, this body positivity stuff. I love that point about, investing in yourself through love and if financially, because that's been one of my struggles, healthy eating gets quite expensive and you go, well, this is an act of self-love. I love that. Yeah, taking on those body positive mindsets. Really good. Kind of not comparing yourself to chihuahuas or poodles or whatever it is. Yeah.
We're all different.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So check out Glenn's YouTube channel. Subscribe to this one as well. We've got the extremely subtle reminder to do that on the couch between us. Leave your thoughts, comments, questions in the space below. Do you have questions for Glenn? Love to hear them. What do you think of the interview? What do you think of the content? Pop your experience in the space below. Give the video a thumbs up. We'll put Glenn's YouTube channel in the description as well, so make sure you go over and check that out. Got his ebook on what was the title?
The Missing Piece.
The Missing Piece. So all about psychology, which is the third piece of the diet and exercise puzzle is the mind behind it. So yeah, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
It's been a pleasure, and we will see you again soon. Catch ya.